A Missouri woman allegedly admitted to police that she put weed killer in her husband's Mountain Dew because she wanted to be mean to him. We're taking a closer look at this apparent admission in police reports as she faces some serious charges of assault. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Well, this might make you think twice before taking a sip of your soda. Hopefully it doesn't. But a Missouri woman is accused of putting the weed killer Roundup in her husband's Mountain Dew. And she was reportedly doing it over a period of weeks before allegedly switching it to insecticide earlier this month. We're talking about 47-year-old Michelle Peters of Lebanon, Missouri. She was arrested after an interview at the Laclede County Sheriff's Office. She's locked up with no bond. And she is charged with first-degree domestic assault and armed criminal action. I'm going to get into those a bit later, but as you can imagine, very serious felonies. Now, her husband, fortunately, survived this alleged poisoning or these poisoning attempts. And he is the one who put two and two together, basically because he realized his drink wasn't tasting right and he started to not feel well. So he eventually reported his suspicions to the county sheriff, but it wasn't just suspicions that he had. No. He also presented them with surveillance footage. So with that, we're going to take a closer look at this probable cause statement of facts to get more details about what is a very bizarre case. So here's what the husband, who's not identified, had to say. He met with a detective at the sheriff's office on June 24th. Now, according to the court documents, quote, he has a refrigerator in the garage where he stores his 2 liters of Mountain Dew. Around the 1st of May, he noticed that his Mountain Dew had an odd taste and got sick shortly after. He reviewed video footage which showed Michelle taking the 2 liters of Mountain Dew out of the garage refrigerator and grabbing Roundup weed killer. Shortly after grabbing the Roundup and Mountain Dew, Michelle placed the Mountain Dew back in the refrigerator. He added that he is the only one in the household who drinks Mountain Dew. He showed Sheriff Millsap and me several videos on his tablet which showed the interior of his and Michelle's garage. In the video, I observed Michelle multiple times taking the Mountain Dew in and out of the refrigerator and handling the Roundup. In the videos, Michelle would conceal herself out of camera view before placing the Mountain Dew back in the refrigerator. Remember, this is the account now of the law enforcement officer. He said that he brought multiple 2 liters of Mountain Dew that he believed were tainted with Roundup. We packaged the bottles into evidence bags. Now, this is a lot of evidence right off the bat, or alleged evidence right off the bat, right? Videos of Peters acting suspiciously near the drinks, then the 2 liters themselves, which police can test, by the way. Hey there, everybody. I want to thank Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring today's Law&Crime YouTube takeover. We are very proud to be partners with Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, a firm that has secured verdicts and settlements for their clients in the multi-millions. They don't settle for lowball offers. They fight for your legal rights and for what you deserve in compensation. They make the whole process so easy for their clients, too, because from uploading documents to talking to your whole legal team, it can all be done from your smartphone. There's zero upfront fee. You only pay them if you win. So if you've ever been injured in an accident, you can easily start your claim with Morgan & Morgan by going to forthepeople.com/YouTube takeover. Let's go back to the document. So according to the husband, he did notice that the Mountain Dew tasted funny, but he kept drinking it. And then, quote, after a couple of weeks, he started having symptoms of a sore throat, coughing up brown, yellow, thick mucus, diarrhea, nausea, vomiting. He said around June 11th or 12th of 2024, he drank a smaller bottle of Mountain Dew and it tasted normal. But when he drank from the 2 liters at home, they tasted different. He became suspicious of someone putting something in the 2-liter bottle, so he reviewed the video footage. The probable cause statement says that when he saw his wife messing with the soda and the weed killer at the same time, he started to fear for his life. And get this, he apparently even gave copies of the videos and an allegedly tainted bottle to someone else in case he died. Quote, he said he mentioned to Michelle that he was sick, and she told him he probably had COVID and to stay away from the grandkids. He said he's not sure if Michelle is having an affair or is trying to collect his $500,000 life insurance policy. By the way, these are allegations, these are purported motives, but they are certainly motives that we've seen in alleged poisoning and poisoning cases before, right? Infidelity, money, they're often cited as the impetus behind domestic violence or abuse. I mean, we just covered the Corey Richins case a few days ago here on Sidebar as well. And by the way, this method, we see it a lot. In fact, recently in Missouri, Diane Stout poisoned her family with antifreeze, resulting in the deaths of her husband and son, and her daughter lived but suffered severe neurological damage. She pled guilty to first-degree murder and assault. She was sentenced to life in prison, and in that case, there was an insurance payout that allowed her to buy a new home, but she was also apparently harboring deep resentments for her family. That's a separate case. Anyway, you get the idea. But now we go back to here, we go back to Peters, and according to Peters' husband, he added another camera in another area where some other chemicals were stored, and he said that he heard movement on the 23rd of June, so he checked the camera live, and what did he reportedly see? Quote, he saw Michelle with a Mountain Dew bottle near a bottle of insecticide on the shelf. He said he believed that the bottle was inside the garage refrigerator currently. So the husband told authorities that he hadn't actually been to a doctor yet, but most of his symptoms had subsided after he stopped drinking the soda from the fridge. So then the detective got permission to go to Peters' home, collected the soda and the bottle of insecticide. He picked up Michelle Peters, brought her back to the sheriff's office. Now, she wasn't arrested or handcuffed at first, but according to the detective, she never asked why he might want to question her about something. And in the interview room, he apparently told her that her husband was sick and that he'd found videos of her possibly putting Roundup in his Mountain Dew. The document states, quote, Michelle said that she was not putting the Roundup in the bottle, but was mixing Mountain Dew and Roundup to use as a weed killer that she saw on Pinterest. Michelle said that she mixed the two liquids in a cup. I informed Michelle that I had watched several of the videos and there was no cup. I explained to Michelle that we had multiple bottles of Mountain Dew that were believed to have Roundup inside them. So Peters allegedly eventually admitted to putting the insecticide in the soda, but denied that she'd done it before with the Roundup. So why did Peters allegedly want to poison her own husband? Quote, Michelle said that she should have just divorced him, and I asked her to explain. Michelle said that he is selfish and they have relationship issues. Sheriff Millsap entered the interview room and read Michelle her rights per Miranda, and she signed the Miranda form. Michelle again admitted to putting the insecticide from the basement in the 2-liter Mountain Dew bottle and placing it into the garage refrigerator during the evening of June 23rd, 2024. And now for the alleged motive, Michelle said she was mad at him because she had thrown him a 50th birthday party and he was not appreciative. Michelle said she believed the chemical in the basement was Roundup when she put it into the Mountain Dew bottle and did so to be, quote, mean to him. By the way, glyphosate, this ingredient in Roundup, it can cause a lot of the symptoms that Peters' husband allegedly had, including burns in the mouth and throat, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. In some cases, it can also cause death. By the way, this is essentially an alleged confession. Of course, there are legal avenues for a defense attorney to explore to block statements like this from coming into a trial. The confession was coerced. She wasn't properly read her Miranda rights. I'm speculating, there's no indication any of that is true, but this is seemingly very, very problematic evidence for Ms. Peters. At the end of the probable cause statement, the detective wrote, quote, I believe that the defendant poses a danger to a crime victim because the defendant knowingly placed chemicals that could cause death or serious physical injury in a drink that would only be consumed by the victim on multiple occasions. So now Peters faces charges of domestic assault and armed criminal action. Let me talk about both of them. So domestic assault in the first degree, as defined under Missouri law, is if a person, he or she, attempts to kill or knowingly cause or attempt to cause serious physical injury to a domestic victim. Now, it's typically a Class B felony, which has a sentence of 5 to 15 years in prison if she's convicted. However, it can be charged as a Class A felony if the victim has a, quote, serious physical injury. And that's our understanding. Then that person could be sentenced to 10 to 30 years in prison. But what classifies as a serious physical injury? That is defined under Missouri law as a physical injury that creates a substantial risk of death or that causes serious disfigurement or protracted loss or impairment of the function of any part of the body. So not sure what the husband in this case suffered would qualify, but perhaps there is an argument to be made that this could be a Class A felony. So now we're going to move on to the other charge, armed criminal action. And that, under Missouri law, is when someone commits a felony while using a deadly weapon or dangerous instrument. Now, it's going to be up to the state to decide what qualifies here, but you can make the argument that weed killer or insecticide would probably be included in that category. After all, the definition under Missouri law of dangerous instrument is any instrument, article, or substance which, under the circumstances in which it is used, is readily capable of causing death or other serious physical injury. So you have to believe that a type of poison was in their mind when they were drafting up this statute. And it's our understanding that a first-time conviction for this could carry between 3 to 15 years in prison. At her arraignment, Peters represented herself, entered a not guilty plea. It's not clear if she plans to retain an attorney to represent her for the rest of her case. She's scheduled to be back in court next week, so we will definitely be keeping an eye on this one. That is all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.